What's up, everybody, and thank you for listening to Mastering the Mindset. My name is dariusdotch, and I'm an actor, hip-hop artist, and fitness and life coach. And I'm here to personally help you train and improve your mindset so that you can, 1, become the best version of yourself mentally, and 2, gain focus and motivation to be able to take action and achieve the success in life that you want and deserve. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to my channel, and at the end of this episode, if you liked it, please share it with a friend or a loved one or someone who would benefit from hearing this message. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm ready to go on this journey with you, and that journey begins now. All right, and welcome back to another episode. So today I want to talk to y'all about this topic because, like I always say, you're the kind of person that's listening to this kind of podcast. So eventually, if you haven't seen any changes already, eventually, as you keep working on yourself and the way you do things and the actions you take, eventually you're going to start to grow. You're going to start to evolve. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how you should give yourself permission to evolve and be okay with not being for everybody. Whether you're an entrepreneur or you started a business or you decided to really go hard at something at work or you decided to just simply work on yourself and better yourself, whatever it may be, we have to learn and give ourselves permission to evolve and to evolve around people, even if they don't understand it, even if they still have the old version of you stuck in their memory card, in their memory bank. And even if you're in a season where you don't have it all together, you're in a season where you've been taking the action. Maybe you've been seeing progress, and in that progress and in gaining that knowledge, you realize that, damn, I have so much work to do. Even in that season of everything feeling so far away from being accomplished or complete, you're still evolving, and other people won't be able to see it, right? They won't be able to tell because it's something they can't see. Can't nobody see that you've grown mentally unless that person truly deeply knows you, right? You could literally be in a season where you feel the pull, the stretch of working towards something, and it's hard, and you just mentally are in a different space. And it's okay to talk about this. I think this is a good topic for us to dive into because it's definitely something I wish I would have had in my tool belt when I first started my journey. But it's important to normalize these feelings, to make ourselves be okay with that mental stretch, the change, the uncertainty, the way by default some of our relationships with friends and family is just going to change. It just does. And it's good to have these conversations with yourself when you are in that evolution season, so you don't feel like there's something wrong with you, like there's something you're doing to make these relationships change. We got to make sure that you're not downplaying your potential because you're worried about somebody else. You're worried about offending somebody else, or that you end up building and working towards creating a life that ain't really aligned with you because you get caught up in trying to mimic the way somebody else thinks or thinks you should show up, right? And the reason this podcast came up for me is I was thinking and reflecting back on my music journey. And I remember it was around the time I first started putting out music. Well, when I first started getting serious about it. And I'll be honest, when I first started, I was a lot more vulgar than I am now. I mean, I still curse and I say the N-word a lot, but not nearly as much as I used to. And I pulled way back. And the music was still good. I knew the music was good. I had no doubts about that. My only hesitations I had was the sound, right? I didn't have a professional sound. But when I tell you, as I sit here and reflect on all the people, and it ain't even that many people, but at the time, whenever somebody would say something, it felt like a lot of people. But there were some folks that had feedback about my music that I didn't ask for, nor did I want to hear it. That negative feedback about me cursing, about me talking about sex in the way I was. And I ain't gonna lie, I had some sexually explicit lyrics and a few things about this. One, I was offended. I felt like people that had negative feedback, they weren't being fair to me. I felt like they were holding me to standards that they don't even hold their favorite artists to. Like, how you going to have a problem with me cursing in my own music? I ain't the first person to cuss when they rap. I ain't the first person to talk about sex in a song. Why is this such a problem? I don't rap about drugs or violence or, excuse my language, bitches and hoes. My music actually has a message, has meaning. And if you're somebody that told me this in the past, I promise you, I'm not talking about you. And I'm serious. I'm not. The folks that were telling me this back then, I know they are not listening to this podcast. Trust me. And not only was the negative feedback not fair, in my opinion, but it was coming from folks who don't even listen to the genre of hip hop that I do. So they weren't even qualified to give an opinion. So that's one. And two, thank God I was confident enough in myself to not let that keep me from making music, that I didn't let that make me change who I was, that I kept going. Now, did I evolve and eventually tone it back with my language? Yes, but that wasn't because of them. It was because I realized I was using curse words as a crutch. And I noticed the less I cussed in songs, the better the song was. I was forced to find better words. And like I said, luckily I knew I was talented enough, and I knew I was evolving back then. Because the fact that I'm getting the negative feedback way back then, that means it's good. The fact that they were holding me to higher standards than major artists out there who came before me, it means they care enough about my talent to give feedback. Because if I sucked, they wouldn't say anything, right? They wouldn't say anything. They would say, well, he ain't gonna make it no way, so keep my comment to myself. And thank God I understood that, and I kept going. Thank God I didn't try and make my artistry and how I express myself lyrically cater to negative opinions. I had to just keep doing me. And I'll keep it 100. I did get defensive back then. Yes. Like, who the hell made you my agent? I'm sorry, agent. That's the actor in me. Who the hell made you my manager? Anyway, but me reflecting on this, it brought to the front of my mind that this is a common thing a lot of folks can struggle with. It's getting feedback like this and deciding that you have to change your identity or how you show up in order to make somebody else happy. Also, another big thing that people do is they dim their light so they don't outshine the people whose light ain't as bright as theirs. We can have the feeling of not wanting to be the person who makes somebody feel inferior because of what they don't have or what they can't do. Have you ever been there before? You have this light, whatever that light may be. It can be a talent. It could be a promotion. It could be your physique. It could be your beautiful home. It could be your career. Maybe it's the fact that you just have more experiences in things than the next person. And out of fear of making them feel less than, you downplay your success, or you don't talk about it, or you don't just let that light of yours shine. And I'll be the first person to tell you that I'm 100% guilty of this when it comes to the things I do with this podcast, or just overall positivity and the light I want to spread in my community with who I am and the message I put out. There was a recent time where I would kind of downplay the things I do, the message, the posts I make, the email list that I send positivity out every week. People would give me my flowers and tell me how they love what I'm doing, or how something I posted or said really resonated with them and it was exactly what they needed to hear. And I would kind of make it smaller than what it really was by not really embracing that, hey, Dotch, you are making a difference. You should really be extremely proud of the man you're becoming. And don't get me wrong, I am. I do understand that I was making a difference, but that imposter syndrome was kind of settling in and being in my head. In my head, I'm saying things like, man, anybody can do this. In my head, I was operating under the thought process that, hey, I decided to do it one day. Anybody can. Anybody can make the choice to do what I'm doing. And while that is true, yes, anybody technically can decide to do a podcast exactly like the one I do, and there are hundreds out there, that doesn't mean that they are me, that they will have the same impact that I have, or that it's even their path in life, that this path was chosen for me and I'm walking in it, and I shouldn't ever dim that light. And also, and this is another thing that I'm trying to get better at, is you should never feel like you're making somebody feel inferior by talking about your light. Now, don't confuse that with bragging, right? That's different. But we can feel uncomfortable talking about our success when we feel like it'll make the next person feel bad about whatever they have or don't have. You cannot control how somebody else feels about themselves. You can't. If you're not being an a-hole and putting them down, you can't control how somebody else feels about themselves, and you also can't control what they do with their life. All you can do is walk your light, and hopefully they see what you're doing and be inspired by what you're doing. Bottom line, just be you, just do you, just walk in your light and in your path. What's up, what's up, what's up? I want to take a quick moment to say thank you so much for listening to this episode, and to also let you know that this podcast is 100% donation driven, which means it's completely funded by you, the listener. So If you like the content I have to offer, I would love it if you can make a donation and you get to pick the amount. I left links in the description of the video as well as my homepage. You can choose which way benefits you the best to donate. And if you need more options, please feel free to email me at dariusdotch@gmail.com. That's dariusdotch@gmail.com. Again, thank you so much for being here, and let's get back to it. So, like I started this podcast, I'll say it again. It's okay to not be for everyone. As you grow, as you have more experiences, as you do more, as you accomplish more, you can't help but to evolve and change. There's no way you will be the same. And look, I don't think you understand how much of a rarity you are. Yes, you. Do you realize that most people you know will never even attempt to work on themselves? Most people are either content with who they are and don't even realize that they have things to work on, because we all do, or they're content with who they are because they just don't want to do the work. And for most people, they don't do the work because they don't even know about it. They don't even understand things about themselves the way you do. And self-development ain't for everybody, right? You are a unique person, especially if you try and implement these things in your life. Because don't get me wrong, I appreciate you listening, but it does me no good if you don't do the things. And like I always say, this ain't the kind of podcast where I'm this millionaire and I'm telling you, hey, do it like I did it and you will be successful. No, I'm on this journey with you. I'm implementing these things in my life in real time. And I can honestly say I have seen a lot of growth. I've gained so much more of an understanding about the way I think and the things I need to do to be able to do to operate at a higher level. So just know that as you keep going on this self-development journey and you're changing the way you think, the fact that you're probably the only one in your friend group or your family that's doing it, there's a good chance you'll start to see a difference between your relationship with them. And that's okay. Keep doing what's best for you. Don't water down your excitement or who you are becoming to try and make somebody else feel included. The season of your life you're in is yours. Nobody else will have your season. Maybe it's similar, but it's yours. It's unique to you. And it's important to remind ourselves that there will be seasons in our lives where you won't feel as much connection with some people you've been close with. And also understand that change can feel like grief at times, because when you change, you lose things, the old, the familiar. And in some cases, it can be the connection, the closeness, the way things used to be with a person. And that grief may not actually feel like grief. Why? Because for the most part, we only think of grief in terms of death, right? But it shows up with change. And in that grief, that feeling you get when you start to realize things are different, that can make you feel like you're not actually evolving, that you're going backwards, or that you're doing something wrong. Understand that you may feel like you're letting some people down when you evolve. And that could possibly even be the case. But on the other side of it, you will attract the people that are perfect for the season you're stepping into. And those people will need you to be your evolved self. They'll need you to be who you truly are, and vice versa. Because the season you're stepping in or going to step in, it might not be the same vision other people have of you. They might not see you as that kind of person. When you start to grow, what can happen is you can outgrow people's perception of you. They've always known you as one way, but now that you're changing, they can't see it. They might think you acting funny, or that you changed in a negative way. Or maybe you think you all that. When in reality, you just ain't the same old you no more. And the things you're going after might not align with where they are and what they want. And you just got to go for it anyway. Create it anyway. Take that step anyway. Don't water yourself down. Honor the gift that you have been given. Honor that light you have. Honor that drive you have inside you. Be authentic. Trust that there are people out there watching you that need to see you, the person who you are, who looks like you, do exactly what you're doing right now and walking that path you're walking. They need you. So be you with your evolved self. So that's what I got for you today. If you like this episode, please share it with somebody that can benefit from this, somebody who is a friend or a family member, somebody who has goals and is trying to improve their lives. So thank you again, and let's get it in.